Hi, everyone. I'm very, very excited being with a small group because we can have eye contact. It's very important for me. Thank you so much for inviting me. She introduced me as a TV presenter, journalist, campaigner, but she forgot to say that I'm a troublemaker as well. I have to express that. But recently, the Islamic Republic gave me a new title. Hostile government. Yeah, little me as a government now. And the reason is that they warned women in Iran, if you send photos or videos to hostile government, دولت متخاصم, it would be a crime, and they put women up to 10 years in prison. It's beyond sad, but the day after, I receive a lot of videos from women inside Iran. So that is the reality of Iranian women, and that's why I'm here. And this is very, very, to me, it's an improvement. And let me tell you why. Calling me a hostile government, of course it's an improvement. Because when I started my campaign, My Stealthy Freedom, 5 years ago, they ignored me. They tried to deny me that there is no such a thing, this is small, it's not important. And next, on TV, Iranian national TV, there was a news saying that Masih was raped by 3 men in London. They were not even ashamed to make my teenager son involved in my fake rape scene. It was fake news. So they tried to discredit me. In their mind, as a woman, if you're raped, it's your fault. So my parents were just listening to the news. They were shocked. But I was shocked that if I was raped in London, my government should go and fight with the government in London and say that, why you didn't protect our women? But they were excited and happy to make this fake news. So after denying, they attacked us. Next, Friday prayer leaders, all clerics, they attacked me and the campaign in one day. And one of the clerics said that not only Masih, all women who joined her campaign are whores, prostitutes. This is very strong in Iran. From the beginning when they called me a whore, I was broken that how I'm going to defend myself, what I'm going to say to my parents in the village. Then I stand up and I said, if defending my rights means that I'm a whore, I prefer to be named a whore rather than a victim. And you telling me what to wear, what kind of lifestyle to follow, and how to live and how to think. When they said Masih is a whore, Masih was raped, then a lot of women said, they actually created a Facebook page and they said, we're all Masih, we're all whores. We don't care. Anything you name us, we're freedom fighters. So they called me the agent of CIA, the agent of MI6. They even called me the agent of Trump. I'm a victim of travel ban. My son is in London. I haven't seen him for 2 years. So they even called me, agent of President Trump as well. They called me ugly duckling. They don't even know the end of the story of ugly duckling. And now, after 5 years, they call me a hostile government. Yes, it's not that bad. So that actually shows you the power of a woman who has been denied, ignored, humiliated, labeled. At the end, they see me and millions of other women who joined the movement as the biggest threats. Islamic Republic has 3 pillars: death to America, death to Israel, and compulsory hijab. These are the pillars of the Islamic Republic. Now, I'm going to prove you that for the Islamic Republic, the biggest enemy is not America, is not Israel. It's their women, especially unveiled women. I received a death threat because of the campaign, obviously. There was a well-known Basiji told BBC journalist on a live interview that I'm going to butcher Masih. It was disgusting from the beginning for me. It was very disgusting rather than being, scared. I got very disgusted when he went through details saying that I'm going to cut Masih's chest, tongue, and send it to her parents. I'm going to find someone in America to do it, to butcher her. So I went to Iran's interest section to make an official complaint. When I went there, which is in Washington, D.C., they asked me to cover myself first and then make an official complaint about somebody who was going to kill me. I said, wait a minute, you might be joking, no? Because the reason that I received a death threat, it's just because I am fighting against compulsory hijab. Now you're telling me, cover yourself, then we're going to protect you? I didn't. So I took my mobile, I ran toward upstairs, and I filmed them, and I said, I'm not going to cover myself, and you have to protect my life. And guess what they did? They called Secret Service, American Secret Service. So for years and years, they have been telling that America is great Satan, biggest enemy of the Islamic Republic. Now they're calling their biggest enemy to save themselves from an unveiled woman. So that actually shows you the power of a woman is more than the power of America and Israel and a government or hostile government to the Islamic Republic. So for me, that the time when I cried, because I wanted to be protected by my own, when you go to Iran's intersection or any embassy of any of you coming from different country, when you go to your embassy in another country, you feel that you're in your own country. You want to be protected. They kicked me out, but I published that video and I asked all the women to think about it, that how powerful you are. Your hair can scare the government. That's true. For the Islamic Republic, this is an answer to all those people who are mocking us and saying that Middle East has so many bigger problems. Why you're fighting for a small piece of cloth? We are not fighting for a small piece of cloth. We are fighting for our existence. We are fighting for our identity. Why? Because we are coming from a country, if we don't cover ourselves, we won't be able to go to school from the beginning. We won't be able to get a job. We won't be able to live in our own country. We won't be able to get any kind of documents. Driving license, nothing. So at the end, for our government, protecting our hair is much more important than our lives in Iran. So, but I am coming from a country where political parties are controlled. We don't have free political parties in Iran. I'm coming from a country where we don't have free press. Journalists are routinely put into jail. Amnesty International announced that Iran is the biggest jail for its own journalists. So I'm coming from a country where we don't have free election. First, the Supreme Leader of Iran choose 4 candidates, then people can vote to someone who have been chosen by the Supreme Leader of Iran, the Ayatollah. So in a country where we don't have a free press, we don't have free election, we don't have political parties, we don't have any NGOs, then how are we going to fight for freedom? Yes, this is easy for me. If we make every individual person an agent of change, then the government cannot go and oppress every individual person. That is my goal. And I learned it through my own story, because I've been witnessing so many times that the government went and they shut down a political party. They went and they shut down a newspaper. They went and they suppressed NGOs. And I said that if all of us became like a movement, every individual of us become a movement, they cannot go and oppress every individual person. So to me, personal story matters, because this is the way that people can be empowered through saying their personal stories and learning from their stories instead of waiting for someone, some NGOs, organization, political parties, leaders to go and save them. You can be your own savior. So for me, yeah, when I was in Iran, I was a political journalist. I got expelled from Iranian parliament just because of exposing the corruption. I got kicked out by government so many times just because of asking critical questions. I got kicked out from high school, again, because of asking questions. I got kicked out from everywhere, basically. At the end, I got kicked out from my homeland, my beloved homeland. But I found a way to get back to the same place that they always kick me out. So how I learned that? Through my personal stories, which I started to share it with other people to show them that, you see, this is my life. I could have just, I had only two options, be a victim or a warrior. So I made a decision. When I was a little girl, we had black and white TV, and I was the one always looking, the shows on TV and listening to the clerics, to all our decision makers, talking about women's rights, talking about my body, talking about my choice. But right now, through same TV, they're looking at me, they're listening to me, they're hearing my voice and millions of other women's voice who's sending their videos, photos, experience to the campaign. So let me tell you how I started the movement. In Iran, I was witnessing a women's rights movement called 1 million signature. So the goal of this campaign was getting 1 million signature and through like ordinary people and getting the reaction from the government, getting the, making the government responsible about women's rights abuse in Iran. So through this campaign, 1 million signature campaign, I was witnessing that how women's rights activists were like spending days to make a statement, gathering signatures from other women's rights activists. So the aim was getting the government to react to our cause. But today, as I said, the government go and suppress all the organizations and NGOs. Today, thanks to technology, thanks to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, social media, a woman goes on a platform waving a white headscarf on a stick. She can be a 1 million signature movement. She can make the government react the day after her act of civil disobedience. So, and the day when the woman got arrested, what happened? We lost her. We didn't know her name. So I needed to find her. What would you do if somebody get arrested? You don't know her, but you want to help. These days, what do? You go online and you ask people to look for it. How? Hashtag. So the hashtag that I created was, where is the girl of Revolution Street? Because I didn't know her name. And the street that the girl went on a platform and waved the headscarf was Enqilab Street, which means revolution. So I said, where is the girl of Revolution Street? Guess what happened? The day after, I received videos from different cities, different women and men, filming themselves, walking in the street with a white headscarf and saying, I am the girl of Revolution Street. So this is how a movement, was born in Iran, through social media. So if the government attack other women or other men to stop them, other people from different cities and town and village, they join them. And these are ordinary people. So I use this example to say that how in such country, when we don't have freedom to have our own organization, NGOs, press, election, how social media helped every individual person to be their own leader. So, and I use my personal, now I want to get you back to how I created My Stealthy Freedom. And I want to show you, which this computer is dead now, I want to show you how personal story could help ordinary people to engage in a movement, to see that, you know, they can have a role, yes, here. So from the beginning, let me tell you how I use my personal story, because a lot of people think that they have to look for a true leader, like for you know, actress these days, or activist, or journalist who has a name. If you have a name, then you can be a role model. So I said that we have to break this taboo. No, you don't need a name. You only need to act. First, we need an action. And then we need to be united. That's all. So from the beginning, I shared my personal story, that I'm not a leader, as you see. I'm coming from a small village, and this is my life. So I shared my personal story. Rather than hiding this and looking for someone to come and save me, I said that this is me and my little brother. So I shared on my social media that my little brother, to be in a small village, in a traditional family, was the most visible symbol of freedom. All the freedom that I wanted to have. As a boy, he was free to run outside and play with boys freely, to show his hair, to sing, to ride a bicycle, to go to stadium. Anything that I would beg to have it. So we had a beautiful river in our village, and he was free to jump in the river and enjoy himself. But for me, it was a crime. And what I did, so I used my power to make him first understand that how it feels to be behind the curtain. Then if I make him to understand that, I can get him in my own side. So unity. As a kid, growing up in a small village, we didn't have, you know, running water, we didn't have electricity, and we didn't have indoor bathroom. We had outhouse. We had to use it, which was in the backyard garden. So some of you maybe read my book, you know the story. The backyard garden was dark. It was black, even blacker than black, if such a thing is possible. As an 8-year or 7-year-old girl, it was not easy for me to go to outhouse during the night. My mother, who is an ordinary woman, she actually taught me a lesson. She said to me that darkness is like a monster. If you stare into the darkness, the monster will disappear. But if you're scared of the darkness will devour you. The darkness would swallow you all if you get scared of the darkness. So instead of being scared of the darkness, just stare into the darkness. So I was a kid, and I thought this is a fact. Honestly, I thought this is a fact. So I used to go to the garden, and because my mom said, stare into the darkness, open your eyes as wide as you can, the monster will disappear. And I was like opening my eyes, like as much as I could, as wide as I could, and I was, it's working. So I became my own leader to, you know, take myself to the bathroom without being scared. But my mother, my brother was scared of the darkness. The king of the village was my brother. That was the king of the village, because he had all the freedom, but he was scared of the darkness. So what I did, I used my power to make him understand. I said that he was scared of the darkness. Okay, he needed me to take him to the bathroom. I said that, okay, I will do that if only you take me with you outside to play football, to ride a bicycle, to swim in the river. So you have to share, you know, you have to share your freedom with me. If not, I'm sorry, just pee in yourself. So he was scared. He needed me. And then I never forget the day when he took me out to teach me how to ride a bicycle. That was the day I won the battle, because I used my power to start my own revolution from my family's house. And this is all that women in Iran, in the Middle East, everywhere, they need to start their own feminist movement, their own revolution from their family's house. Look, I grew up in a small village that all the kitchen were designed for women. The sink is lower. Why? Because my brother was taller than me. My father was taller than my mother. So the sink was short because me and my mother could spend time in the kitchen. But I was working as hard as my brother in the farm. My mother was working as hard as my father in the farm as well. Both of them were farmer and street peddlers. So both of them were working very hard outside. But inside the house, the kitchen was the land of women. So what I did? Simple. I found a chair. And I said to my brother, sit down and wash the dishes and be with me. That's so simple. So I started my revolution from my family's kitchen. So why I use this personal story to encourage other women inside Iran? Because for 40 years, the government of Iran used men to oppress women. If you are a woman and you want to go to, you want to get a passport, you have to get permission from your father. If you get married, then you have to get permission from your husband. If you want to go to school, if you want to travel, if you want to get married, you need to get permission from your father. You're not allowed to sing. You're not allowed to dance. You're not allowed to. It's unbelievable. If you get, if you're a mother, you're pregnant, and you get, in a car accident, you die. Guess what happened? If the baby in your stomach is a boy, get twice compensation than you as a mother. So what I use my personal story, nowadays we have a stadium in Iran. Women are not allowed to go to stadium. 100 men go to the stadium and they enjoy themselves and they enjoy the freedom. So I ask all women to start their own, revolution from their house. All those men, they're coming from a family. They're not from just government. So ask them, why you go to the stadium when I'm not allowed to go there? And now, about hijab issue. When people say that, look, this is a law and we have to respect the law, I said, no. First, ask the men, your father, your brother, your partner, your boyfriend, your friends, your male friends, that how come they don't understand that this is an insult to them when they are witnessing that their 7-year-old daughter should cover herself to go to school. And the reason is because of her own safety, because men are very weak and they get excited. They cannot control themselves. And to stop them from provoking men, you have to cover yourself. This is an insult to men as well. So I used my personal story and I showed my brother as an example, and I said that if my brother go to stadium, if my brother force her daughter, then he's not my brother. I'm not against man. I'm not against men, but this is the reality. You have to ask respect from your own family. So what I did, I created another hashtag, men in hijab. Go and check this hashtag, it's amazing. So the hashtag actually came, it's unbelievable. Our foreign minister, Javad Zarif, went to France and he was challenged by a female politician that why you force women to wear hijab. Not only Iranian women, non-Iranians. Our foreign minister said that because this is our culture and you have to respect our culture. Guess what I did? I was furious. When somebody called compulsion part of our culture, it makes me mad. I photoshopped him in our culture. So I photoshopped him in hijab. And I said, if this is our culture, then respect it yourself. And I just wrote a simple caption. I said, how do you feel as a man when you see yourself in a Photoshop hijab? You feel insulted? You feel humiliated? This is just a Photoshop. We feel the same for 40 years in reality. If you don't understand that, go and try it. So I created a hashtag Men in Hijab. I invited men to try it and share their experiences. Guess what happened? I was bombarded by videos from men putting hijab, standing next to their wives, sisters, mothers, and saying that, yes, that's ugly in 21st century, that we enjoy freedom and we never understand that how it feels to be forced to wear hijab. We don't own the women. So we are not the one who should make decision for women. One of the video got 12 million views. Believe me, the supreme leader of Iran, the foreign minister of Iran doesn't get that much views. Again, that shows you the power of ordinary people when they get united. When I started my Stealthy Freedom campaign, I remember a lot of people were like saying, you know, where are you gonna go? It's just online publishing photos, so where are you gonna go? So after 3 years, one of the picture, our president got one of the picture of our campaign. I mean, it was not this picture, but women were like holding headscarf like this. 2 journalists got one of the picture from My Stealthy Freedom and confronted our president. And that was the first time in the history that our president was asked a simple question about why you're forcing women to wear hijab and how do you feel by seeing these women taking off their hijab. Our president was actually the main architect of compulsory hijab, as he wrote on his memoir. When he saw the picture and the 2 journalists in front of him saying that, do you feel insulted by seeing this woman taking off the hijab that you forced on them? So he laughed nervously. He said, oh my God, so many bigger problem in Iran. Why you know? So he was very nervous, but the journalists insist. And then I said to myself that they kicked us out. They never asked journalists to ask questions. But through this campaign, we managed to challenge our president about this. So this is the time. Now we have to shift the online movement to something offline. So I picked the color, white. I picked the day, Wednesday, which I was more free on Wednesday. So I called it White Wednesdays. And I asked women and men and those who believe in hijab to come together in the street with a white symbol like this. Identify each other, find each other, because I strongly believe that if we are together we are stronger. So the first day I received 90 videos and photos from women holding white headscarf or women wearing white headscarf and men wearing white symbol, walking in the street and saying no to compulsory hijab, which is a punishable crime. So after now it has been 2 years, I used my personal story again to create another initiative. Because if you want to keep a movement fresh and alive, you have to come with new stories and you have to come with new idea and initiative. So I'll share a personal story and then I'll tell you how okay, as you see, this is a mullah in Iran. I was a parliamentary journalist. The argument that a lot of people say that this is a small issue, I was a political journalist here. Actually, you cannot see me here. This is me. I was a political journalist in Iranian parliament. My focus was about corruption in politics. Basically, bigger problems. Anytime I was criticizing the politicians, the member of the parliament, they would point it out, first cover yourself, then ask a question. So they don't care what you wear. Sorry, they don't care what you say. They only care what you wear. So that cleric actually took off his abaya, religious abaya, and ran after me. Why? Because I said, I'm not going to cover myself. There's nothing here. I'm not going to cover myself. So he was trying to punch me on my face. He showed his face. If you don't cover yourself, I'm going to punch you on your face. He couldn't because there was a lot of journalists. The camera was on. So after years and years, I left Iran. I was in the airport in London. Because of my campaign, there were a lot of pro-government people in London. They hated me as well. So one of the pro-government guys stopped me in the airport and told me, what are you doing with our country? You ugly woman. You're ruining the image of Iran. So when he stopped me and called me ugly, I just went there and I said that, look, I'm not ruining the image of Iran. I'm ruining the image of the oppressors. I'm not the one ruining the image of Iran. Those who lashes me for not wearing hijab, those who kick me out from a school, those who hang people for having different religion, those are the one ruining the image of Iran, not me. He was not convinced. So that didn't bother me. He called me ugly. That bothered me a lot because it reminds me of the time when any time when I was critical, the politicians, the men were just attacking my sexuality. And that guy was doing the same, thinking that if he called me ugly, it's gonna bother me. I said, I'm gonna now show you. First of all, I said, in the eyes of my mother, I'm a beautiful daughter. In the eyes of my son, I'm a beautiful mother. In the eyes of my husband, I'm a beautiful woman. And I don't care if you call me ugly. Second of all, I took my camera, I just ran after him and I said, you called me ugly. Say that in front of my camera, say that, say that. Guess what happened? He couldn't. So I won the battle. My camera was my power and it stopped him from violating against me. So I shared this story online and I asked women to do the same because I know that if a woman walking on veil, they're going to be harassed a lot, from morality police to those actually sexually harassing them in the streets. And our supreme leader actually enters Me Too movement by saying women in the West being harassed and raped because they don't know Islam and hijab. This is what our supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, said. But in Iran, if you're unveiled or you're wearing hijab, doesn't matter. You get sexually harassed. When you go to judiciary system, it's your fault because you have to prove first that you were not the one being unveiled or too revealing to provoke men. So what I did, I asked women, when there is no justice, when there is no media, then be your own storytellers. Be your own media. Use your camera anytime when you are harassed or being attacked or being beaten up by morality police, film them. This is our power. And right now, it's not about taking off hijab. It's not about just walking unveiled. It's taking the country back. It's taking the streets of, different cities back. Women, for the first time, they're feeling that they are powerful enough. When they walk in the street, they know that they have something. If they're being attacked, they can use it. It's their camera. So follow the hashtag, my camera is my weapon. You will see that a lot of women actually using their camera to expose violence, which has been hidden for 40 years. Do I have time or I have to finish here?
Keep going.
Yeah? Nobody gonna stop me here?
No one's gonna stop.
Unbelievable.
Keep going.
So, this is what's going on in Iran. But what we need right now, it's international support. We need to be recognized. So I'm going to give you 4 arguments which Western feminists, the global movement, actually making to keep silence about our movement and our struggle in the Middle East. Doesn't matter whether we are from Saudi Arabia or we are from Iran. When we are fighting for women's rights against compulsory hijab, any kind of, rights to drive, which in Saudi Arabia has been lifted just recently, we hear this argument. First, they say this is an internal matter. You heard that a lot, no? This is an internal matter. Saudi Arabia, in Iran, women should deal with it. Women should solve it. They don't want to be saved. We, feminists from the outside country or from the West, we shouldn't go and save them. So this argument actually empowered our oppressors. How? First of all, we don't want any feminist from Western country come and save us. Because women are actually powerful. They became the agent of change, trying to bring change within the society. But when they're challenging the same law, which you go and legitimize that law, So you're interfering actually. So you say that this is internal matter, we don't want to interfere. But by supporting the same law that we are challenging it, you are interfering in our internal matter. When I interviewed a cleric in Iran, that was actually the day when in one day, 29 activists of White Wednesdays got arrested just because of challenging compulsory hijab law. The same day, 3 female politicians from Netherlands, they went to Iran. They obeyed compulsory hijab law without even challenging it. And I asked a simple question, why? They said, this is an internal matter, we don't want to interfere. I say, if you go to Iran and you respecting the same law which is violating against us, you're legitimizing the same law which women are being beaten up because of challenging the same law, then you're interfering in our personal internal matter in Iran because you're empowering the government. So I interviewed a cleric and I asked him about compulsory hijab. You know what he said to me? He said that, see, even Catherine Ashton, the High Representative of European Parliament, respect our law and our culture. Who are you? How you dare to challenge the law which the High Representative of European Parliament even respected? So you see, when you go to my beautiful country and you respect discriminatory law, you empower the Islamic Republic to put more pressure on us. This is the first argument, which is, doesn't work. Throw it away. The second argument, they always say that. The Western feminists, athletes, the politicians, actresses, who goes to even tourists who go to my country because they're forced to wear hijab. And they say that, if we don't wear it, we're not going to be allowed to enter Iran. Even the politician says that. We go there to solve bigger problems. So for this small issue, if we just don't accept that, then we'll not be able to solve bigger problems. You kidding me, no? If the government do not let you to make a decision about this small issue, you think they're going to let you to make decision about bigger problems? If you don't have the control to choose what you want to put in your head, they're not going to give you the control of what's going on inside your head. If the First Lady, if the High Representative of European Parliament go to my country, will be kicked out from the airport because of this small issue. So then you want to solve bigger problems with that government? That doesn't make sense. And who said that this is a small issue? I just want to ask a simple question right now here. First thing that you want to go out, the first thing that you think, can you tell me what is the first thing before going out you think about it? Before going to a party, before going to school.
Yeah, look good.
Yeah, you looked at the mirror every day. Why? To make yourself the one that you want, to make yourself beautiful. Every day we use the mirror to make ourselves someone else. Every day we, the women in Iran, use the mirror to make ourselves someone the government want us to be. But I want to be my true self. Is this a small issue? If it's a small issue, why the government spend millions and millions to keep this pillar? For me, this is not a small issue. This is the first wall. If we tear this wall down, then the rest will get easier. For me, compulsory hijab is the main pillar of a religious dictatorship. That is why I strongly believe if a woman can say no to someone telling her what to wear, this woman can tell all the dictators, no, you're not the one can make decision for me. But if the government manage to oppress all women and make them victims and miserable to wear what they want to wear, then they can, force you to accept the kind of the government, anything. You won't have any kind of freedom. It's a joke that you don't have freedom to choose what you want to wear. You don't have the right to choose what you want to wear, but you do have the right to choose a president in Iran. So you think this is a small issue? Here, I have another question. If anyone come to you, I need you. You're the next generation. You're the leader of the next generation. I mean, you're the next leaders. And I need you to understand that. Compulsory hijab is not a small issue. To understand that, I'm going to ask a simple question. If someone just come here right now wearing hijab, and this guy said that, no, you're not allowed to come here, first take off your hijab, what would you do? What would you do if somebody just forced her and said, the condition for you to join this meeting is just take off your hijab? What would you do? You won't keep silent. You stand up for her rights. This is all Muslim community. They got united here. The Muslim feminists, they got united here to support their rights to wear hijab. They even called this small piece of cloth a symbol of resistance. Yeah? I don't understand that when it comes to Islamic Republic. How come when the government forced you to take it off, then you say this is a small issue and you kept silent? This is called hypocrisy to me. If they say that this is a small issue, we're not going to, get involved, just tell them this. If somebody forced you to take it off hijab, take off your hijab, you keep silent? Okay, then we're going to keep silent. When burkini ban happened in France, all the feminists around the world, they were united to condemn it. I did the same. But the same female politicians who condemned burkini ban, they went to Iran, they obeyed compulsory hijab without saying anything. This is hypocrisy. So, third argument. They say this is a law. It's country's law, and we have to respect the law. I'm going to just give you an example. If Islamic Republic comes with a law and saying that if the Western country come with a law and say all Muslim women, athletes, if they want to participate in a tournament here in America, they have to take off their hijab. The tournament, it happens to be in America. It's an international tournament. So the law says that all the Muslim women should take off their hijab. So it's a law. You have to respect the law. Ilhan Omar should respect the law. Linda Sarsour should respect the law. Why? Because it's a law. It happens, the international tournament is here in America, and the American government comes with a law saying that all Muslim women should take off their hijab in order to attend to international tournament. What would Ilhan Omar, Linda Sarsour, all the Muslim community and the feminists, the global feminist movement would do? Tell me. They stand up for their sisters' rights. No? Right now, there's a tournament in Iran. The condition is this. All women should cover themselves. All these feminists, Muslim feminists, they keep silent. That breaks my heart. Why? When I join you to condemn compulsion, that means you have to join me as well. Otherwise, you're hypocrites and you're empowering the Islamic dictatorship to put more pressure on our sisters, on us. So, some people might say, the fourth argument, they keep silent. They say, because of Islamophobia. If we talk about, Sharia laws, compulsory hijab laws, it might cause Islamophobia. Let me be honest with you. The women who fight against oppressive law are not the one causing Islamophobia. The laws actually lashes me for taking off my hijab. The law actually lashes women and men who participate in a mixed party. These are causing Islamophobia. The law actually allowed the government arrest a 17-year-old girl because of dancing, causing Islamophobia. The law actually allows the government arrest 29 women because of waving the white headscarf in public. That causes Islamophobia. The law forcing all tourists, non-Muslim, athletes, female politician, actress from other country who goes to my beautiful country wear hijab, otherwise they're going to be kicked out. That causes Islamophobia. Not women, not brave women who resist oppressive law. If you really care about Islamophobia, you have to join us, the women in the Middle East who are fighting against oppressive law. If you really care about the image of, your belief, then you have to condemn anything which is happening in the name of Islam in Muslim country. This is my argument. So right now, this is the last, I was going to give you name because I talked about compulsory hijab, but I think those women who get arrested, they are not just statistics. They are not just like, news. They are human beings. Right now, Yasaman Aryani, 22 years old, is in prison because of protesting against compulsory hijab. Her mother took her flower, took her flag, and joined her. Both of them right now are in prison. Mojgan joined them. Mojgan is in prison as well. Sabah Kordafshari joined them. Sabah is in prison as well. Nasibe joined them. She's in prison as well. Nargis joined them. Nargis is in prison as well. These are not just statistics. These are human beings. They are our sisters. We shouldn't keep silent in the name of Islamophobia, or it's a cultural issue, or this is internal matter in the Middle East, or this is the law. No, this is slavery. And when women like Shima, Nargis, Yasaman, Monire, Rahele, Sabah stand up for their rights, this is our responsibility to support them and to be their voices. So I called all feminists, global feminist movement, our Muslim sisters, men around the world, to think about it. When women are in prison right now, they need us to stand up and ask the Islamic Republic to stop violating against women and release them as soon as possible. So far, I haven't heard anything from Ilhan Omar, Linda Sarsour, and our sisters in America, in EU. I sent a letter to European Parliament, Canadian Parliament, to Swedish feminists. All of them. So far, no word. So we need you. Together, we are stronger. Do not call compulsory hijab part of our culture. Our culture in the Middle East is beyond that. And when you call compulsory hijab part of our culture, this is an insult to a nation. Just be our voice. Thank you so much. I'm more than happy to answer any question, but I think now you need a break.
So we actually have about 25 minutes for questions.
Sure,
then,
okay.
We will take a break, so yeah, I'll just let you know.
Sure. Are you Muhammad?
Yes.
You see, I'm very smart.
So Iran is not the only country in the region with compulsory dress codes. How does your campaign fare in a place like Saudi Arabia, where obviously the two governments don't like one another? But maybe is this something that
We don't care.
Yeah.
That's a very good question. Go on.
So yeah, so how do they participate?
That's a very good question. Look, I received a video from a woman from Saudi Arabia. That was the day that I cried out of happiness. Because the girl from Saudi Arabia wore a white headscarf around her neck, walking in Tehran street in Saudi Arabia and saying that, "Hi, Masih, I want to join White Wednesday's movement because I think that our government doesn't like each other, but when it comes to women's rights, we have to get together." I haven't published this video yet, but I'm going to publish it. And that's true. That's the message. I even think women in America, women in Europe, they relate to our story. When it comes to women's rights, women's rights, it's human rights. And we have to get together, all of us. But what concerns me is this. When a government, like when the Western country have a good relation with Saudi Arabia, then they're going to bury human rights and forget about it. This is the concern that we should think about it. That when it comes to, civil rights and human rights, women's rights, we should bury all the political agendas. Doesn't matter. Our government hate each other, or the American government likes Saudi Arabia. I don't care. They have to be accountable about what's going on in the Middle East. If, you've heard of nuclear deal, yeah? We have Iran deal. So, and then when we had the deal, people were very excited in Iran. They took to the street and they were very happy, and because we don't want to be isolated, we want to have a normal relation with the Western country. People were very excited, took to the street and celebrating, dancing, which is forbidden. And then when President Trump pulled out from the deal, so those people should, again take to the street and say, chant like death to Trump. But instead they said death to Islamic Republic. So they were actually looking for, after the Iran deal, they were looking, the main slogan in the street was this: the second deal must be human rights deal. So that didn't happen, and people were really mad. So they were chanting against the Islamic Republic. So you see, when it comes to people on the ground, in the street, within the society, they cares about human rights. But when it goes to politicians or some activists or some feminists, then the political agenda goes first. This is my demand. Forget about the political agenda and think about human rights. Women in Saudi Arabia, women in Afghanistan, Egypt, we are all together, and we should be together and loud enough against any kind of oppressive laws. Sure.
So when I was in high school, I was part of the Muslim students.
You have to go beyond that, because this headscarf, when it's in the hand of Iranian government, Saudi Arabia, or any kind of oppressive regime, that can be a chain around your neck. That can, get all your freedom away from you. This is the most visible symbol of oppression when it's in the hand of Iranian government. Then if you want to show your solidarity with Muslim women, you can't just say, okay, this is just a simple piece of cloth. No, it's not. What you say about the ideology behind this? You can't just ignore it. The same day when 29 women get arrested, you see that in the West, women taking the headscarf and say, so wear it to show your solidarity with Muslim women. Then I'm asking, where is your solidarity? Where is your, sympathy with your own sisters who are getting beaten up just because of not wearing this? That's so simple. Don't be hypocrites. Yes, I would be more than happy if I see Western feminists, welcome my mother who wears hijab. But if they ignore me and goes to my mother, then think about it twice. There should be some political agenda behind it. What I hate is the Islamic, the political Islam, which actually using the headscarf as a symbol to oppress women, and the feminists, the global feminist movement ignore this point. That's all. Otherwise, I am not against hijab or those people who wear hijab. How can I be against my mother? I love my mother. And my dream is to walk shoulder to shoulder with my mother here in France, in Iran. Not, being kicked out from my country just because of not wearing hijab. And I don't want my mother to be, patronized just because of wearing hijab. She's adorable. But she doesn't force you to wear hijab. That's my point. Am I clear? Okay. Yes.
How can we be part of that?
You look like Iranian.
People tells me that a lot.
Oh.
Colombian.
Oh my God! You look very familiar for me, and I miss Iran. At the end, I'm gonna hug you.
So yeah, how can we help? But real help. I'm Colombian. I'm an atheist. I'm against many things, and I have obviously had the conversation after the shooting in New Zealand.
Yes.
Yeah. So how can I help beyond that discussion on Facebook and without going into that?
I love this kind of questions. Honestly, I love that. I mean, first of all, when I was talking about Yasaman, Mojgan, and those sisters who are in prison, you cried. And that was a help. That was a sign of solidarity. And I got touched. And I admire when people care about each other. So I never think that, if you take an action, it's small. Every single action matters. Never say that what I can do beyond that. Anything you do is important. Even holding a picture of Yasaman and put it on Facebook, it empowers her father, who is now alone because his wife is in prison as well. So nothing is small. No, I mean, when I see that on Facebook, somebody likes the post that a political prisoner's family put, I go and say thank you. Because this is not small. These are important. But beyond that, as you said, send a letter to the female politicians who go to Iran. Send a letter to your local politicians and ask them, make them accountable. Ask them to raise human rights issue when they meet with Iranian government. Let me just give you one example. You remember the Swedish feminist ministers published a picture, all female cabinets, to mock President Trump's male-dominated cabinet? You remember that? I saw that picture. All female ministers. I was very proud to see this picture, putting next to the all male-dominated cabinet of President Trump. It's a good way to criticize, and I love that. A month later, the same feminist ministers from Sweden, they went to Iran. And the second picture was them, all of them, wearing compulsory hijab in front of our president. And I said, wait a minute. First, you publish a picture to challenge President Trump saying that men and women are equal. And now you publish another picture to say, well, men are more equal than women. How come? If you are a true feminist, then you have to condemn discrimination anywhere. Doesn't matter if it happens in America, in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, or in Sweden. So I published this small picture. I mean, 2 pictures, that's it. Small, on Facebook, small act, yeah? But that picture got more likes than the post itself, the feminist minister put. So you see, even those likes, it's like a weapon nowadays. So then those people who supported this post made her responsible to react. So she published a photo of herself wearing a hat and saying that, look, wearing hijab in Iran is like wearing a hat. So I commented again, and I said that, just give me one example that one day you got beaten up by the government just because of wearing inappropriate hat. Because we got beaten up if we wear inappropriate hijab. Show me in your country how many times you get kicked out from school, from your work, from your job, just because of not wearing a hat. We get beaten up if we don't wear hat in public. Do not patronize our cause. When we are fighting against compulsory hijab, do not compare it with a beautiful hat. So again, a lot of people liked my post, and my post got more likes than her, the minister. And nowadays, this is the way actually we can make them understand that you're not, sounding logic. So that post made her to delete her photo. You see? So your act matters, even a small act. But to me, it's very, very important if you could do something to make your local politicians responsible about what's going on in Iran. Right now, Iran is miserable. Iran is looking to have negotiation with the West. And we have to keep reminding the West that do not vary human rights under nuclear deal. That's all. Sure.
I was just wondering, why it is, do you think that representatives like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib are reluctant to condemn certain practices of the including and especially compulsory hijab?
If I got your question right, you said that why they keep silent and why they...
Yeah, why are they specifically reluctant? Because I think they would agree, most people I think would agree that coercion is the issue and that it shouldn't be forced. But I'm wondering where this reluctance comes from.
I strongly believe that Ilhan Omar, Linda Sarsour, and other Muslim politicians or Muslim feminists kept silent about compulsory hijab in Iran just because of Trump. Because they don't like Trump, and they think if anything happened in the Middle East or Saudi Arabia, Iran, they kept silent. Look, when Khashoggi, the Saudi Arabia journalist, got killed in Turkey, all of the Western media were loud enough to condemn it, and thanks to them. But when a 20-year-old activist got killed in Iran just last month, none of the Western media were interested to cover that. We have a lot of Khashoggi in Iran. They get killed. We want to get the attention of the media in the West. They keep silent because they don't like Trump, and they think right now Trump is a friend with Saudi Arabia, so it's time to challenge Saudi Arabia, but it's not a good time to challenge the Islamic Republic of Iran. That breaks us. Why? Because you have to forget about the political agenda if you really care about human rights. That's all we want. For me, when travel ban happened, I condemned it. I took to the street and I hold a sign and I said, build a bridge rather than building a wall. But first, I am a victim of the Islamic Republic. I haven't seen my family for 10 years. So when I condemn travel ban, first I have to condemn the Islamic Republic, which killed me, which kicked me out, which killed a lot of protesters in Iran. That is hypocrisy. If you condemn travel ban, but you never talk about women being banned from entering Iran if they don't wear hijab. Actually, I call it women ban. It's women ban. Women are banned from entering Iran. So here you say Muslims are banned from entering, getting visa. So why you condemn one side and you keep silent the other side? That's not understandable. I don't even understand that. Because I take to the street, I condemn travel ban. I was brave enough. I'm working for Voice of America TV. I said, to me, it's human rights abuse. I condemn it. I never said that, no, because I work for Voice of America TV, I'm being paid as a contractor, I'm being paid by the government in America, I'm not going to criticize. No, I criticize them. So I demand them to criticize when women are banned from entering Iran as well. To me, it has only one reason. They don't like Trump, so they bury human rights abuse in the Middle East. They don't want to talk about it. Still, I am hopeful. I never lose hope. Still, I'll call on them. If you really care about human rights, if you're a true feminist, then condemn, the human rights abuse in the Middle East, in Iran as well. I think we're done. I think they are done. I'm very talkative. I know that.
There's a question right here.
I still have a person ask a question, but so I guess I'll use Saudi Arabia as an example because because in class we talk about how can we advance human rights in Saudi Arabia, but then someone pointed out that Saudi Arabia doesn't even recognize human rights. It is looked upon as a Western terminology. And I guess it's coming from me, so they look at Western person imposing human rights.
Oh my God, I hate this argument.
Yeah.
We shouldn't categorize people. When it comes to human rights, we are all together. Never allow people to say, oh, Western woman. I don't understand that. Okay, go on.
So, because we should advance human rights, but I guess so I don't know how to phrase that question.
Good. Look, I get frustrated, as you see. I myself get really, emotion when people say that, Western women want to save the. Be honest with you, I want to save Western women from their misunderstanding of our culture. This is patronizing when some Western women say that we don't want to talk about hijab. This is their culture. It's like it's slavery. During like apartheid, people say that, oh, no, it's internal matter. Let's not talk about it. We have so many heroes who stand up for human rights. Doesn't matter. When travel ban happened, nobody said that this is an internal matter. Or when burkini ban happened in France, nobody said that this is an issue in France. Let's them deal with it. We all get united. Doesn't matter about colors, because it's human rights. Human rights, it's a global issue. Nobody can say human rights, it's an internal matter. For me, if one person here, Muslim, African-American, Western, being abused and her right being away from her, I stand up for her rights. I never say that, this is not my issue. Because it's human rights. Right now, what's going on in different country, we send money if earthquake happen, if flooding happen, because we care about human rights. This is exactly the same. Beyond colors, beyond, we all should get together and talk about it. So that's a simple question. If anybody says that, again, Western, say that I don't care. If in the West, human rights being abused, I'm loud enough to condemn it. Okay, there's another argument. I'm happy to find that now. Look, Western woman says that, Ilhan Omar, Linda Sarsour, they say that we shouldn't talk about compulsory hijab laws because it's internal matter. Tell them it's not internal, because if you want to go there, they're going to force you to wear, not you, Americans, well, a lot of tourists, American tourists. It's not internal, it's about you. Let me give you just one example. Before Iran deal, there was a group of female politicians from the EU. They went to Iran. And I remember that time, I sent them a letter and I said that, look, you have to talk about compulsory hijab because it's about you. I don't want you to go and save the Iranian women. But they're brave enough to save themselves. And I sent them a letter, so that argument was very clear. I said that if my government come to Western country, the first thing they ask you is just remove all the alcohol beverages. Red wine? Not at all. Even they asked the government in Italy to cover all the statue because the statue were naked. So you see, so in France, having a red wine is part of their culture. Why the Islamic government say that remove it? Because they stand up for their Islamic values. So my point is that we have to stand up for universal values. We have to tell them that this is our values. You should not force us to follow you. If they say this is the culture, say culture is not something written on a stone. Culture is flexible, changes generation by generation. People sacrifice their life to change a bad culture. Women sacrifice their life to get the right to vote. So you can't say this is their culture or we the Western women should not interfere. Human rights is a global issue. We all have to interfere and talk about it. Yeah.